Christ is the third party, as the person who makes that cord strong. Proof is in the pudding, and we stand here 50 years later knowing that this love is strong. It's strong because they have put their trust and their faith in each other and in Jesus Christ. And so we move to the I do vows. This time we say I do instead of I will. It's kind of confusing, and they sound kind of alike, but we might as well do it because all these people have come. Now, do you take Naomi for your wedded wife, to have, to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? And Naomi, do you take Al to be your wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? We're going to sign a document now as Wes comes to sing, and this document says, let me read it for you. This document certifies that Alfred and Naomi Vaughn did on the 20th of November 1993 renew and affirm the marriage vows made on the 17th of November 1943, the Fairview Church, Seattle, Washington. For as much as Al and Naomi have consented together in holy matrimony, and have pledged their vows one to another and given in exchange documents, by the power invested in me by the state of Washington as a minister of the Church of God, I pronounce that they are still married. And now, Al, you may kiss your bride. Al said that was good practice. I'm sure. Well, they're going to stand over there, and you are free to do a little more mingling and go give your congratulations to the Vaughns. Thank you for coming.
Before you leave, and then we want the Vaughn family together up here for a picture before you leave, because we really would like to get that while everybody's here together today, okay? So I'll turn it over to Al.
My name is Al Walker. I'm here because I married one of Evelyn Vaughn Ambler's girls, Barbara Ambler. So that's where I fit in the picture. So we've known Uncle Al and Aunt Naomi for a long time, and they're really great, really great. Uncle Al and Aunt Naomi is what we call them all the time. You know, when I first met Uncle Al, I thought he was old. But I didn't realize how old he was until one day when he showed me his Social Security card. And I looked at it. It said 00001. That's old. I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody said that Al really is old. He was a waiter at the Last Supper. I don't know if that's true. Did you hear that? Now, Joe was telling me this. I think I can trust Joe. He's a pretty good guy. And he said that at Uncle Al's last birthday, they had so many candles on the cake that the smoke alarm went on. Is that right? Well, anyway, Uncle Al, down through the years, he's gotten a little older, but there's one nice thing about him. He's got the answers to everything. He really does. The only problem is nobody asks him any questions anymore. Uncle Al tried a lot of things as hobbies in his younger years. I mean, he was a ham radio operator for a while. He was a good one, really good. Remember that? The ham radio? But I also learned that for a while he tried giving speeches. He thought, hey, if these other guys can do it, I can do it. But there was one problem. He finally gave it up, not because his audience complained, but because they all got up and left. But there is something that Al still does, and he still does good. He does it with the computer now. He writes poetry. And his daughters tell me he gets on the computer and he writes all this poetry. But you know how he got started doing that? Let me tell you. They were at the Jolly Troll restaurant 5 minutes from here, and they ate and they got ready to leave, and the car wouldn't start. So they had to call a repair truck to come, and the guy said it's going to be a while. So while they were waiting for the repair truck to come, now this is true, this isn't a rumor. While they were waiting for the repair truck to come, they went back inside, and they noticed there was a poetry contest. All you did is write a few lines, drop it in a box. So Uncle Al says, hey, I can do that. So he wrote 2 poems, and guess what? He won the 2 top prizes. But there's something I've never been able to understand about them. Now, both Uncle Al and Aunt Naomi are adamantly against gambling. But the prize was 2 trips to Reno, Nevada, and they went. So, remember that? I don't know, he never told me about that. But Aunt Naomi and Uncle Al lived in Alaska for a while. I guess it wasn't a very big town. In fact, it was so small that the welcome sign and the leaving town sign were on the same post. That's pretty small. And somebody else said the little town they lived in Alaska was so small that the McDonald's only had one arch. And if you wanted to get a Big Mac, you had to order it through the catalog. Well, it was a small town. In the zoo, they had to close it down when one butterfly died. They did have a unique ambulance system in this town in Alaska where they lived for so many years. When their daughter, Marie, right over there, when she was born, they dialed 911 and the dog sled came to take her to the hospital. That was it. This is also a true story. I think maybe Uncle Al will remember it if he can hear it. Naomi said, "Honey, wait outside the store for a minute. I got to go in and get something." Uncle Al, what are you laughing about? Uncle Al was in his serviceman's uniform, you know, and he's standing out there waiting for Naomi. She was just going to go in and come right back out. And pretty soon this bum come up and said, "Hey, how about some coffee money, mister?" And Uncle Al pulled his pockets out and he says, "Hey, I haven't got any money, I'm a serviceman." And the guy reached in his pocket and offered him some money. That happened in Alaska. Well, I was talking to Naomi recently, and I thought that after 50 years of marriage, she could give me some good words of advice because, you know, she's learned a lot down through the years. And I said, "Naomi, how many men does it get to change a light bulb?" And she says, "None, because they'll put it off so long that the woman has to do it every time." She also said, "There's nothing as stubborn as a man when he doesn't want to do something." Is that right, Naomi? I don't know. But she also said the best way she has found to get her husband to do something is to say, "Al, you're too old to do that." There is one thing that my wife and I both remember about Uncle Al. This was back in the 40s when I thought he was old. Every time we met him, everywhere we went, Bremerton, wherever it was, he was always kissing all the girls and all the ladies. Now, he doesn't have the mustache anymore. He doesn't kiss the girls and ladies anymore. And I asked Naomi about this, and she said, "Well, by the time most men learn how to behave themselves, they're too old to do anything else. So maybe that's why he don't do it anymore. I don't know." And when they were first married, there was a famous Hollywood movie going around, and it was called The Wizard of Oz. And Naomi told me something about that one time. I said, "Naomi, how come Dorothy got lost in the land of Oz?" And she said, "Oh, that's easy. She had 3 men to direct her." And Naomi also went on to say that's the reason they have female astronauts in space, because the ladies aren't afraid to stop and ask directions when we get lost. You know, men don't like to stop and ask directions, do they, Wes? No, okay. Naomi is a grand lady, she really is. She's done a lot of things, she's been around a long time. You can relax for a minute. But I understand that Naomi tried a lot of things, and some of them really worked. She had a green thumb, and her pea patch was the envy of everybody in the neighborhood. And she said, "Man, this is working out good. I want to try my luck with flowers. But when the artificial flowers died, she gave it up. Naomi used to work at a lot of different jobs. She's done a lot of seamstress work out through the years. And she's given a lot of advice to ladies that worked in garment shops. She used to work at a place called Nifty Garment Shop. This is a long time ago. And I understand, I think this is true. It's either Joe or Larry told me this. I'll have to check with them about it. But they said that Naomi used to work with a lady named Mrs. Ross. And she was her color and pattern consultant for all the seamstress work she did. And one day, Mrs. Ross had finished a project, and Naomi says, "Hey, that really looks great. Let's run it up the flagpole, Betsy, and see if they salute." Well, Al and Naomi used to take their family out to eat at relatives. Now, is Esther here today? I don't know if she is or not. Esther? Okay, you probably remember this, Esther. The family went over to your place to eat one day, and the kids said, "Man, this stove is spotless, and you don't even have any foil under the burners. How do you do it?" She looked at Al and she said, "I don't make burnt offerings in this kitchen." Now, if you don't understand that, this has something to do with Al's cooking. I asked Naomi about it, and she said, well, she only had two things to say. When Al got through with the meal and you ate it, as far as you was concerned, McDonald's was a gourmet kitchen. And then she said, frequently, Al made a lot of burnt offerings for his family. And think about this, Naomi. One of the frequent sayings as their kids were growing up was, when it's smoking, it's cooking, and when it's burnt, it's done. Well, Uncle Al liked to go fishing and he liked to go hunting, and I'm just about through, folks, here, really. And one day he asked Naomi, he said, "I want you to go with me on a hunting trip." And she said, "Hey, that really sounds great. Let's do it." So they got all ready, and as they were heading out the door, she said, "Now tell me once again, honey, what do I have to do on this hunting trip?" And he said, "Oh, that's easy. We'll stand up on the ridge, we'll send you down in the bushes, you scare the deer out, and we'll start shooting." And she turned around and went back in and said, "No thanks." One last story here. It's called the Rooster Story. Remember the Rooster Story? They lived in the University District, and they got some new neighbors. And these new neighbors, they didn't bring a dog or a cat or a rabbit with them, but they brought a rooster. And roosters have a funny habit. If they hear a lot of noise and see a lot of lights, they think it's time to get up, so they keep crowing and crowing and crowing. Well, Uncle Al and Naomi had to get up early and go to work, and the people who moved in were party goers. They had something going almost every night. They had the lights on and the noise, and that didn't bother Uncle Al too much, but one thing really bothered them was that stupid rooster kept on crowing and crowing and crowing because of the lights and the noise. Uncle Al got together with Aunt Naomi. He's shaking his head. He remembers it. He said, "We've got to do something about this rooster problem." So they got a crowing rooster and put it on a long tape. And just before they left for work, they opened the windows, turned the volume on the stereo way up. And guess what? When they got home from work that night, no more rooster. The people got the message. Really, these are a grand couple. I saw a lot of cards, but this is one of the nicest ones right here. A serviceman and his wife. And there is a beautiful poem on it. Together you celebrate a very special life. A love that has withstood the test of 50 years. A love that brought you together when the rest of the world was at war. And this is a grand 50th reunion. I had some more to say here, but time is running out, and I know a lot of you guys have a 2 or 3 or 4 minute story you could tell us. We don't want it to be an hour, because then we'll be here when church starts tomorrow. But if a few of you have just a short story before their kids come, we'd like to hear about it. I know things must have happened. You must know a story about an old car, a Durant car they used to have, or something. There's a lot of stories around. Anybody have a story they want to tell? Want to share with us? This is not for Wes or Roberta or Marie or Marilyn. This is for you guys. Esther, how about us? You remember anything in particular? I think she's saying she isn't very old. I don't know. Okay, then I'm going to call Wes up here. Come on, Wes.
Well, my dad's sense of humor has been known as a cut-up, but part of the reputation for being a cut-up comes from musical ability. One thing I owe to my folks is their sense of, their artistic sense, and how they express it. My dad's expressed it in music and poetry, and my mom's expressed it in her handicrafts, like needlework. I remember my dad playing the saw, I remember my dad and mom singing duets, and mom playing the piano and the violin. And I got a little tribute here for Dad, and he's playing the saw. I remember in Nome, Alaska, when I was in first grade, so when I distinctly remember a specific song played on the saw. And this was in the Nazarene church there in Nome. And you know how people, when they sing, a lot of times they forget to sing out the last consonant on words. So on the chorus of this song, I thought they were singing, "This is my story, this is my saw." But I tribute to Dad, and what we've got him, and my dad and mom got from him culturally. I wanted to play Blessed Assurance.